In this chapter, we're looking at proof by induction, which is a new form of proof and one which allows us to prove some quite advanced things quite easily. I'm just going to begin this video by explaining what the logic of proof by induction is, and then we're going to apply it to a few cases, specifically series. So the logic of a proof by induction is you have some kind of statement that you want to prove, so some kind of mathematical statement. And typically these are statements about natural numbers, not always, but the vast majority are statements about numbers. So a claim which is true for all integers, for example. So we have some statement, and rather than proving that statement directly, we do something which is show that it's true for a base case. Now a base case is typically just showing it's true when n equals 1 or 0 or something very small. So some small value of n where we can just demonstrate it's true. And obviously that doesn't prove the whole theorem, but it proves it's true or demonstrates it's true in one case. Then what we do is we lay out what's called an inductive hypothesis. Now the inductive hypothesis is a rather strange step, which is to assume that the theorem holds true for some number k. So we assume the statement is true for n equals k. And I'll tie this all together at the end. I'm just laying out the formal stuff first. So we assume the statement is true for some particular case. And then we go on to the inductive step. And the inductive step is where we prove that if the statement is true for some number k, then we show that it's true for the next number, n equals k plus 1. And if we can do that, then we proved it for all natural numbers. Here's why. Imagine we're trying to show that it's true for 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so on forever. What we've done is we've shown that it's true for 1. That's the base case. And then what we've done is we've shown that if it's ever true for any particular number k, then it will be true for k plus 1. So we've shown this step. So why does that prove it's true for all numbers? Well, you've got a starting point, n equals 1, and then you've shown that if it's ever true for any number, for example 1, then it's true for the next number 2. And because you've shown that if it's true for any number, it's true for the next number, well, it must be true for 3. And if it's true for 3, it must be true for 4. And so on, and what we end up with is it being true for all natural numbers. So people sometimes call it like a domino effect, that you prove it's true for the first domino, and you prove that if one domino falls over, they all fall over. So it's like tapping the first domino and they'll all fall. This is all very abstract here, so let's apply this to a couple of simple cases. So let's prove this result, which we saw earlier on in the course anyway, which is the statement or the claim that the sum of the first n natural numbers is half n plus 1. Okay, so we now have to prove this just directly, but here's how we do it by induction. So we do our base case. So let's just say, is this true when n equals 1? So let's explore. So when n equals 1, what's the left-hand side? Well, the left-hand side, which is this, is the sum from r equals 1 to 1 of r, i.e. it's the sum of the first one natural number, that's just 1. Okay, what's the right-hand side? Well, the right-hand side is what you get when you sub 1 into this formula. So that's half times 1 multiplied by 1 plus 1, that's half of 2 and that's 1. So we've shown that this formula is true when n equals 1. Now it's the inductive hypothesis. So we're going to assume that it's true for n equals k. So what does that look like? That means that the sum from r equals 1 to k of natural numbers is half of k multiplied by k plus 1. So we're going to just assume that's true. We know it's true when n equals 1 or when k equals 1, but we're just going to assume that it's true for some particular value of k. Our job is to try to show that if it's true for n equals k, then it's also true for n equals k plus 1. And so this is our inductive step. And so typically what we'd do is we'd say, all right, well, what's going on when n equals k plus 1? Well, that would be the sum of the first k plus 1 natural numbers. Okay, so what am I allowed to assume here? I'm allowed to assume that it is true for n equals k, but I'm not allowed to assume it's true for n equals k plus 1. That's what I need to explore. So recognize that the sum of the first k plus 1 natural numbers is just the sum of the first k natural numbers plus k plus 1, right? Because you've gone 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus da 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 plus k, that's this bit, then plus k plus 1. Okay, so we've not assumed anything here, but now I can use my inductive hypothesis, which is I can assume that the sum of the first k natural numbers is this. So that is half times k plus 1. That's this bit here, but then I also have a k plus 1 here. So if I expand everything here, I have half k squared plus half k plus 1. Now, neatening this up, I get half k squared plus 3 over 2k plus 1. Now, if I factorize out half from this, I've got k squared plus 3k plus 2. And this factorizes, it's half of k plus 1 times k plus 2. Now, you may have spotted, but you may have not, but actually we have now proved that it's true for k plus 1. Why is that? It's because this here is just this statement here when n equals k plus 1. Because look, I've got half, and then when n is k plus 1, I've got k plus 1 here, and when n is k plus 1, I've got k plus 1 plus 1, which is k plus 2. I can really hammer that out by saying, look, that is half of k plus 1 times k plus 1 plus 1. And so to really hammer the point home, we say that is the same as half n plus 1 when n equals k plus 1. Now, there's a lot of algebra written there. As we work through this, I'll sort of try to prune off the stuff we don't need. So in the end, we've got a really kind of slick proof method where we're only writing what we need to, but I don't want to skip any steps at this stage. So what we've shown here is the statement is true when n equals 1. And then we said, look, if it's true for n equals k, well, then it's true for n equals k plus 1, which means we've got our first domino, and we've shown that if any domino falls, the next domino falls. So we just stitch this all together into a conclusion. And your conclusion really needs to have two premises and a conclusion. So we have to point out that it is true for n equals 1. And if true for n equals k, then true for n equals k plus 1. Therefore, then true for all natural numbers, that's n in n, so that's capital N natural numbers, by induction. So this is the form that your conclusions should always take. You always need to just say it's true for n equals 1, and if it's true for n equals k, then it's true for n equals k plus 1, and therefore it's true for all natural numbers n by induction. Okay, let's work through another example. And then let's look at why this method would not work if the theorem was not true. Because I think sometimes it can look a little bit like black magic here, where we sort of wished it true and then it became true. So I'm going to show you another one which is true, and then we're going to try to prove something that's not true and see that it does in fact go wrong. So let's prove by induction that the sum of the first odd numbers, first n odd numbers, is n squared. So this is a nice result. Is if you start adding up odd numbers like 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7, let's stop there, Add all those up, lo and behold, you get 16, which is 4 squared. 1, 2, 3, 4. The sum of the first 4 odd numbers is 4 squared. It's a nice result. So written out more formally in series notation, this would be the sum from r equals 1 to n of, well, it's going to be 2r minus 1. An odd number can be 2r plus 1 or 2r minus 1. In this case, I want 2r minus 1 because when r equals 1, I want 2 times 1 is 2, minus 1 is 1. That just guarantees it starts at 1 rather than 3. I want to show that that's n squared. Okay, so let's try to prove this. We've got our base case first, and unless there's a reason not to, always go with the base case of n equals 1. So we can say that when n equals 1, we have a left-hand side of, well, it's the sum from r equals 1 to 1. So it's just the very first term of this series, which is just 1. And then the right-hand side is 1 squared, which is 1. So the statement is true when n equals 1. Okay, now we've got our inductive hypothesis. So we assume it's true for n equals k, which means that the sum from r equals 1 to k of 2r minus 1 is k squared. Now it's the inductive step. So we need to investigate what the sum of the first k plus 1 odd numbers is. And it's useful, now that we've seen this already, it's useful to sort of anticipate where we're going with this. We're going to try to show that the sum from r equals 1 up to k plus 1 of 2r minus 1 is just this statement here, but where n is k plus 1, meaning k plus 1 squared. That's what we want to show. So what we can say is that the sum of the first k plus 1 odd numbers, well, that's the same as the sum of the first k odd numbers, and then just plus the next odd number. So what is the k plus 1th odd number? Well, it's just subbing k plus 1 into here. So that's 2k plus 1 minus 1. Let's just bracket this so it's very clear. So there's the sum of the first k odd numbers, and here's the next odd number. So by our inductive hypothesis, we can assume that this just is k squared. Now, let's see what we get here. We get k squared plus 2k plus 2 minus 1, which is the same as k squared plus 2k plus 1. And lo and behold, that is k plus 1 squared. And that is n squared when n equals k plus 1. And that means we're done. We've shown that if it's true for n equals k, then it's true for n equals k plus 1. So now we just conclude, and we conclude basically with the same statement every time. So we say it's true for n equals 1. So we say if it's true for n equals k, then it's true for n equals k plus 1. We've proved that, and therefore it's true for all natural numbers by induction. And they can be quite fussy about the conclusion, so make sure you don't skip anything in that. Okay, it can be really useful to try to prove something that's false just to see at what point it goes wrong. Okay, so here's a false statement, and we're going to try to prove it with induction and see where it goes wrong. So prove by induction the sum of the first n even numbers is 2n squared. So this is definitely wrong. Let's just see by looking at, say, the first 4 even numbers. 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8 is actually 20, whereas 2 times 4 squared is 32. Okay, so this claim is false, but the base case is correct. And so let's see what happens if we try to prove this by induction. So let's just think what the claim is mathematically. The claim is that the sum from r equals 1 to n of 2r, that's even numbers, is 2n squared. So the base case, in fact, does work. That's why I picked this case this example, because the base case does work. So when you can say that when n equals 1, The left-hand side of this is just the sum of the first even number. So from sum from 1 to 1 of 2 times 1 is just 2. And the right-hand side is just 2 times 1 squared, which is 2. So the claim happens to check out just for the base case. So now we've got our inductive hypothesis. So we assume it's true for n equals k, which means that we can use the result that the sum from r equals 1 to k of 2r is 2k squared. And then we've got our inductive step. So now let's see where this goes wrong. So we're exploring the sum from r equals 1 to k plus 1 of 2r. And we know that the sum of the first k plus 1 even numbers is the same as the sum of the first k even numbers plus the next even number, which is just 2r plus 2. So let's see what we can get. Well, by the inductive hypothesis, I can say that this is 2k squared. But then we're also adding on plus 2k plus 2. And here's the bit where it goes wrong, because if this statement was true, well, then this should be able to be transformed into 2 times n squared, where n is k plus 1. So we should be able to turn this into 2 times k plus 1 squared. But that's not the same as 2 times k plus 1 squared. And that's where it goes wrong. So you see, you'll only be able to complete the inductive step if the theorem is actually true in the first place. And if the theorem's not true, it just doesn't work. You can't actually get this into that form. So I think it's useful to see that it's not magic, and it does only work when the theorem is true. So that's a little intro to proof by induction. In the next video, we'll just continue working through a few series problems. I'll see you there.